Hey everyone, how are you doing? My name is Ricky Rigolato, the founder of Route the Service Platform. It's a sales platform for the commercial cleaning services industry. I am also the owner of Rosalato Services, a family-owned commercial cleaning company. So welcome to Cleaning and Cocktails, a show where I get the opportunity to sit down with cleaning industry experts and share stories, talk shop about the industry. So grab your cocktail, listen in, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. So with me today is a friend of mine, a colleague. Josh has a couple of different companies that he represents. He is a brand himself, right? We'll get into that right now. So Josh, without further ado, introduce yourself, give us a short story. We'll get into each of the companies, but just tell everybody, why cleaning, who are you, and take it.
Awesome.
Well, actually, first.
Oh yeah, first things first. Jeez.
You got to cheers, man. This
Cheers.
is Cleaning and Cocktails.
Yeah.
You got yourself a White Claw. I got myself a Jack and Coke. All right.
Tasty.
Yes.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to hop on, Ricky. I've been, we've been friends for a bit and anxious to talk shop here. But before I share my story, just wanted to give you props on you sharing your story. One thing, that I've always prided myself on is being a master of my craft and a student of the game. And it's admirable what you've done as far as building your own company, launching a tech platform, and hosting, a bunch of subject matter experts out there to share the story. So hats off to you for doing what you're doing and appreciate that. You're raising the level of the image of our industry. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Josh Brown, AKA Dr. Green Clean. Been in the GNSAN industry for a little over 20 years. And I was actually born into the industry. My dad worked for a small, family-owned company. Never really had any hopes and dreams of going in and selling toilet paper. But, like many youngsters growing up, I had dreams of playing pro baseball. And, unfortunately, that didn't work out. So I had to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And my dad was on a company trip with his company. And we were just there hanging out on the beach, having a good time, and hit it off real well with the owner and vice president. Got back from the trip and they offered me a job, and I said, why not? And embraced it, went in full steam ahead. And I think one of the biggest things that made me successful early on and still today was my work ethic. I was a 21-year-old kid right out of college that didn't know the difference between toilet paper and toilet bowl cleaner. But what made me successful is, my dad instilled into me a work ethic that he always said, hard work will beat talent when talent doesn't work so hard. So it was just a way to get into a recession-proof industry. Wasn't very sexy and glamorous, but it was something that I felt I could embrace, learn, and make friends and solve problems.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah, and today, I do represent, my personal brand, which is Dr. Green Clean. Work for a family-owned and regional operated company called Western Paper. We operate in Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, and we pride ourselves on helping people.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for that. You know what I was going to say too is, since 21. So it's like you think about people when they get out of college, again, nobody says hey, I'm graduating, I'm going to the cleaning industry.
Yeah.
And for you to be sticking around and still doing this means, there's opportunity. It's lucrative. There's longevity in it. So, again, it talks a lot about, I didn't know these things about the cleaning industry either, man. When people talk about, what are you doing? Why are you want to clean?
You're doing what? Yeah.
You're
selling what?
What are you doing technology?
You're talking about cleaning toilets?
Yeah. I'm like, well, man, everybody needs cleaning. It is you said it, almost close to a recession-proof industry that I've ever seen. And that's what, when I came from the mortgage industry at the time when I transitioned into it. So talk about a non-recession proof industry.
Sink or swim.
But all right. Yeah. So you touched on it a little bit. Yeah, you touched on it a little bit. You got the look, you pointed out the logo. Let's talk about Dr. Green Clean, right?
For sure.
I love it. It's what drew me to you. Share to the audience, give us a little feedback on, why'd you jump into this journey of Dr. Green Clean?
Absolutely. So great question. So, I've been dabbling into personal branding for the last couple years, but never really with a name behind it. I've was dabbling in putting content out there, trying to be an industry subject matter expert. But really what clicked was about a year ago this time. I was moving from Colorado to Arizona for Western Paper to expand their business in the institutional space, which we consider building service contractors, Class A office buildings, education accounts, and government. So I was thinking about, hey, I'm coming down to a new market and I don't know anybody. And some people may not know who Western Paper is. And before people are going to buy into Western Paper, I got to get them to buy into me. So I'm like, how can I do that? And one of the things that pulled me to Western Paper was the company motto, which we live by, is we're here to help. So as I was thinking about, building a business, getting to know people, building a brand, I'm like, how can I build a brand within a brand that fulfills our company's initiative of we're here to help? So who better to help than a doctor? So when I meet with my, patients or clients, I don't come in with any preconceived notions and say, hey, Ricky, here's what you need. I ask a lot of questions on, what are your aches? What are your pains? What's something that's on your war board that I might be able to take off your list? And then through my 20 years of industry experience in my prescription pad, maybe have some remedies to consider that may alleviate some of those headaches. So it was really an opportunity to build a brand within a brand, because Western is different. And so am I. And it's easy for me to say that, but until people give me a chance to sit down with them and have some conversations and get to know each other, it's hard for that to come across. So the doctor mentality of helping people really fit into our brand. And then the green cleaning kind of came about with my past experience of being in the Colorado market for 12 years. One of the hubs for sustainability, being good stewards of the environment. So not that I ever pushed green products, but I always gravitated to that. And if it made sense, I would suggest that. And for making sense, it's quality's got to be there. Price has to be at or below. And there's got to be some good green story or sustainable message around that. So Dr. Green Clean is really your personal liaison to reduce your headaches and aches and pains around your, cleaning and maintaining your building.
Dude, I got to tell you, I love it, man. I love it because it resonates with, like you said, when you need help or you don't feel good or, think about these things are with business, right? Your business is,
Yep.
You've had a bad month, you're losing money. These are aches and pains.
Yeah.
The Dr. Green Clean, right? So,
That's
dude,
right, buddy.
I got to tell you,
Yep.
I love it because people are buying into trust. And
Yep.
who you trust is you trust brands, right? They have a story behind them. They have a mission. There's something there where you're not just some guy off the street, somebody selling snake oil, things that and especially now more than ever. I mean, I'm getting emails left and right from people. I'm like, you're in the chemical industry? Like what
Yeah.
are you telling me right now? So
Yep.
I commend you for building that brand because it's, especially when, in my first years of business, I didn't know right from wrong. I didn't know what I was buying. I didn't know that if I bought this chemical, it would ruin that floor. It would ruin that surface. So there is a lot to know with chemicals and not just chemicals. So let's dig deeper into that word Jansan. Because again,
Okay. Yep.
I had no idea what that was until probably year 4 of my
Yep.
company. So it's like, what does Jansan stand for? What does it mean? Why should somebody look for a Josh Brown as a Jansan partner, or around their area locally, or
Yep. Well, what it means is, I think for people getting into the business, you got to know where the industry came from, and Jansan is basically two words kind of coming together of janitorial and sanitary or sanitation. And what Jansan does is it really kind of narrows the vertical, or what I call swim lane or subject matter expert. In a world where you can buy products from anybody, whether it's online, in stores, broadliners that carry everything for everybody. Why Jansan, and probably the best way to narrow this down for this topic is a specific scenario of COVID. If you're getting into the business or you're trying to refine your business, there's a lot of things that we don't know right now. And you want to be partnered with people who are subject matter experts. So if you come to me and say, hey, Josh, I want a disinfecting, program, your JanSan or subject matter expert is going to be able to sit down with you and say, okay, hey, Ricky, here are the different products that you can pick from. Here are the different tools to use. Here are the processes. Here's the PPE, where if you're just going to a broadliner or going into a store, you're going to be more treated as a customer than a client or a partner. So your JanSan is really going to be your subject matter expert of the products that it takes to clean or maintain your building. Just like if you were to ask me something about a light bulb or an air filter or something like that, that's not my area of expertise. I would, defer that to a different company. But if it's something around cleaning or maintaining your building or, healthy, happy employees, that's something that we and my fellow tribe members in our industry, we live and breathe every day. And that's how we try to be different by, consulting with our clients.
So Josh, would you recommend, because, we're in these groups together. I know me and you are in a couple of them.
Yep.
LinkedIn, on LinkedIn together too. But I'm always seeing a lot of questions on, what chemical do I use? What do I do about this? Do I include this into my bid? Do you recommend that every cleaning business owner should have some kind of connection with a JanSan partner to ask questions when they can, email, text message, bring you into a walkthrough, involve you into an RFP, where a lot of business owners probably feel like they're on their own, right? I think a lot of people think they're on their own, and that's why they ask so many questions, where that's what, again, this whole emphasis on building an ecosystem for having the right people involved. What do you recommend small business owners, cleaning companies do when they are hit with these RFPs that I know now more than ever are going to ask specific questions that Google just can't help you with?
Well, the first thing that I would say, and I live by, is be smart enough to know what you don't know. Stay in your swim lane. So as you go, and whether it's your current provider or you're looking at other, partners out there, is, finding somebody that you can trust that's going to help you not only manage your business, but grow your business. So for me, if you invite me on a walkthrough, I'm going to be your eyes and ears and be able to present to you kind of an A and a B program to say, okay, Ricky, if we pick this up in the next 30 days, we're going to plug and play, and we're just going to, fill these types of items. But we're also going to present maybe some solutions to elevate their image or to reduce costs. And those are things that, JanSan specialists, can focus on, because the last thing that a JanSan rep gets frustrated about is you call me the day before. It's like, hey, Josh, I just picked up this building. Then I'm having to walk it and do order guides and startups. So I would say the more that we can be involved, the more value we can not only bring to you, but I think if I'm your potential client and you bring in your supplier that's your subject matter expert and you showed it as a partnership, I think that that's going to make you look better by bringing in additional resources, to the opportunity. And I think, one, those walkthroughs are never comfortable. And when you have a buddy there or a partner, it kind of makes it a fun atmosphere. And you may be able to pick up things that or I may be able to pick up things that you didn't, or vice versa. And we can come out of there and put a true program together, or a continuous improvement plan to present to your potential client.
Oh, Josh, that's a great point too, because this actually real life story happened to me about 3 weeks ago, where I was doing a walkthrough with a gentleman, and I actually happened to bring my Karcher rep, and my partner, right? And he had caught some elements and areas of the floor and the way the layout of the floor was, where he was already thinking machines.
Yeah.
I'm worried about, servicing the customer, and, I've got, route doing the walkthrough. I've got client right there. I'm trying to make eye contact. But at the same time, like you said, bring in that second set of eyes and ears. By the time we were done, he already had mapped out everything to say, let's use a 17-inch scrubber. It's going to eliminate product. It's going to increase productivity. You're going to be able to charge a little bit less because of productivity. You know what? And then chemical this chemical should go here with this floor type, but you're going to want to do this with these surfaces. Like, I didn't have time to do a lot of that. Like, I was more worried about what's the scope, what's their budget, how many people have walked this space with them, what was their pain points before. Like, there's a lot we got to worry about in a walkthrough. I mean, the walkthrough to me is so overlooked by a lot of people, where that's where you win business. When they see you with a partner, they're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, man, I'm building a program. I'm building a program for you. That's what I'm doing.
Well, and to that, I would say it's also where you could lose business. If you're not doing the walkthrough, and you're bidding it from afar, there's so many things that you don't know about the DNA of the building as far as, what are the pain points today? Because, as you walk a building and looking at, do they have the right mats? Are there stains on the floors? Are there odors in the restrooms? Unless you're getting in there to see what's going on, you're really not putting your best foot forward. And then when you bring in that partner, at the end of the day, you want to win that business, but you want to win the business on something that you can stand behind. Yep. And when you've got the right tools and technology that can give you better, quicker, faster results, it does enable you to be more competitive because you've got tools and equipment to do the job. So I encourage you and people in the industry to find a partner and take them on walkthroughs and see where they may be able to point out opportunities for not only you and your business, but opportunities for your client to improve their image, or reduce costs by different systems or solutions.
Yeah, Josh, you know what, dude? So the last gentleman that I had on, it was a pair. It was John and Ed Selko, right?
Yep.
You know them.
Janitorial subcontracting network. Yep.
Yeah, he touched on some great points where it was like, people are so worried about underbidding or overbidding and things like that, where he's like, Rick, man, people should be worried about win the job. You win the job, then now worry about how am I going to be productive in this space? I've got it. I've got the contract. I start in 2 weeks. Bring your Jansan, bring your equipment person, like figure out how do you make profit here? How do you increase productivity? And that's, like you said, I love what you said. I've never heard it before, is the DNA of a building.
Yeah, well, feel free to use that. That's doctor approved. I want you to.
Doctor approved. Like, that's the truth, man. It is the DNA of a building. If you don't know it and understand it, you're not that you're going to fail, but there's going to be misses if you don't truly understand.
Well, and to that, a building is a living, breathing organism, and it changes. Even like now with some of your clients, reducing their footprint or moving around, their office spaces, that's going to require your cleaning programs to change. And unless you're, building customizable solutions for each building, at the end of the day, cleaning is cleaning, but each building is different. So I think the more time that you invest in the front end work to do that walkthrough and bring in your support people, I think it's going to set you up for success, not only initially, but give you that roadmap of continuous improvement plans to work on over the next, 12, 18, 24 months.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Again, I always touch on this at one point of the episode, is just, this is why I do this, is because, I don't know those answers. I don't know some of this content that we're pushing out here, where it's just, this is just helpful for anybody in the business. Yep. So let's talk. Now let's talk about, I am a small business owner. I am a medium size. Is Western Paper going to care about me? Is Josh going to care about me? I am a small, maybe $10,000, $20,000 a year supply deal for him. Because I feel like that's what a lot of these smaller businesses think, is we don't buy enough, so I'm not going to waste time on trying to develop a relationship.
Yep.
I would say that is probably the worst way to look at this. Is, I mean, you tell me, do you care if a potential BSC is only a 10,000 a year buyer versus 100,000 a year? I know numbers are important, but what's your answer to these guys and girls that think they're not going to care about me?
And for me, really, the numbers are important, but really it's going to boil down to do they care about me, and are they going to buy into the value that I bring to the table? And the reason that I ask that is when customers work with me, my time is valuable. And if I make that investment, I'm going to give them all that I have, because I know, you know, if you're starting out today and you allow me to be part of your business and to help you, is I'm going to grow as you grow. And you may go from, you know, 10 employees to 20 to 200. So I'm definitely willing, you know, in Western is to make those investments. But a lot of that comes on the front end, you know, consultation of, are we the right fit? And it kind of boils down to your first question about what's Jansan. So I think if somebody's just out there, just, you know, looking for a, you know, just buying product and cheapest price and things like that, then to be honest with you, we are probably not your best bet. But if you're like, you know, hey, Josh, I'm looking to grow. I'm looking for a partner. I don't know what I don't know. You know, I know that you bring value. I'm going to need training and support and consulting. You'll grow as we grow. Those are things that we embrace every day, all day. But it's got to be a mutually beneficial, you know, win-win, you know, scenario.
Oh, absolutely. So now let's talk about, because I went on the website, I checked out the Dr. Green Clean, right?
Yep.
It's a two-part question where tell us what is a Dr. Green Clean visit, which I love, by the way. What does that visit entail? And then on top of that, tell me what that help method is. You know, explain what that is in a combo response.
So there's a number of different ways the doctor visits goes. So it's similar to like if you were just go to the doctor. Sometimes you go in with a very specific problem, and sometimes you go in for a yearly checkup. So the first example of a doctor's visit would be you may have a specific problem or a want or a need. So I'm going to ask lots of questions about, okay, you know, hey, Ricky, help me understand, what are your aches? What are your pains? What are you hoping to accomplish? What have you tried that hasn't worked? What are you doing now that does work? And then through that, be able to piggyback off of things that you like and just do more of that better. Or if you've tried things that haven't worked, be able to present some remedies that might work, you know, for you. So it's a collaboration similar to when you work with, you know, a doctor as far as what's the right prescription for that specific ache or pain. So that's kind of if you come in with a, you know, hey, here's my problem, whether it's, you know, disinfecting or sticky tacky floors, or I need help reducing budget. We ask lots of questions and things like that. The help method is really, if it's a general kind of introduction call of, you know, you come to me and say, okay, hey, you know, Josh, go, give me your story. And I'm like, you know, Ricky, my goal is to help, but I don't know if I can help. So what we've developed is the help method, where each letter of help signifies a universal business need. So whether you're cleaning a Class A office building, a hotel, a school, everybody has similar aches and pains, but your aches and pains are a lot different than this building. So Ricky, you know, I'm going to tell you what each one of these stand for, and then you tell me what's most important to you. And then based upon your priorities, I'm going to prescribe some options for you to consider. So H, help, stands for health and hygiene. E stands for environment, sustainability, and green. L stands for lower total cost. And then P is people, process, and productivity. So if it's just our general introduction 101 call, or maybe a yearly checkup, it's like, okay, Ricky, I'm not coming in here with any preconceived notions. I'm not going to just push product on you and say, hey, you got to try this. You know, in order for me to help, I need to know, where do you want and need help? So out of these 4 letters, and then I have people literally write down 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you say, okay, Josh, you know, lower total cost is important to me. Okay, great. That's number 1. Over the next 30 or 45 days, let's dive in and focus on what does that mean and how can I help you lower your total cost of doing business?
Nice. Dude, I mean, talk about, if people take something away, that is a takeaway right there, right? Because now more than ever, I got to tell you, and this is just something personal for us, is on the Rosalato side of business, we're going through an audit, right? Where supplies has been a topic of, you know, not issue, but it's a topic to talk about. Like, well, who can buy better? Them as a company, us as a BSC. You know, sometimes the BSC buys better than the client, right? It depends on your buying power, depends on who your supplier is. Now, can we talk about, I mean, again, this may be a tough question,
I
'Cause
love it.
so many
Bring
different,
it.
yeah, so many scenarios and variables, but I know one thing I know, like us with, within Route, we're creating that estimator tool, right? So one of the line items that I care so much about because people forget is supply cost, is that supply percentage that they should mark up, margin, whatever you want to call it, as far as account for it. So
Yep.
if somebody doesn't know, which dude, this is probably 95% of the industry, is when you're bidding a 10,000 square foot healthcare facility and you have to include supply costs. Like
Yep.
what would you recommend a BSC? Is it a 3%, 5%? Is it 5 cents per square feet? Like, do you have some samples of what's baseline, like metrics that they should use to incorporate in their bid?
Well, that's a great question. And it is a hard question because the industry has changed so much. Prior to COVID, I would say there was anywhere from 5 to 25%, markup on there. And what I have seen is, a lot of building service contractors were so lean on the labor side of things that they tried to make their money on the janitorial spend.
Mm-hmm.
And that's historically what's happened. That's kind of how the game was played. My concern for people that may have a little bit too much meat on the bone there is because of COVID and budget cuts, is I do think some of the building service contractors, people that have been funneling supplies through their BSC partner, are going to start to take a look at some of those things. So while you do
that's happening right now.
Yep. So I think, at the end of the day, it goes back to a partnership conversation with who your client is. At the end of the day, they understand, and depends on who and how you buy. If you're servicing some national customers like a CBRE or a Transwestern or a Cushman & Wakefield that have large, robust national contracts, that may be hard to compete against. But if you've got a local or regional, portfolio of business, there's no right answer to that. But I think when those conversations come up, at the end of the day, you're the one carrying the risk, and you're carrying the terms on that with your supplier. So there has to be a percentage in there of what they think is fair and that they can work with.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it just comes down to having those questions with the customer. Don't get caught speeding. But I think you working with the right JanSan partner is, rather than having just kind of a set markup that you traditionally had of, hey, I put 20 or 25 on it, you may be able to do some site audits and say, okay, ABC facility was spending $1,000 a month. Well, let me bring in my JanSan supply expert and take a look at what they're doing. And can we introduce some new innovations or technology that we can lower the total amount of products that are being used, while in theory would lower their cost on products. So you may be able to make a little bit more margin, also providing a cost reduction to the customer. So I would say, if you're getting beat up on price, you're not going to win that game. You need to switch the game and go in and consult and try to provide cost saving solutions. And you need to do that through your JanSan partner and expert.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, what about if it's a one-off client that you have to worry about? You're buying the startup kit, mop bucket, broom, chemicals to clean with. They don't want to pay for anything. They're telling you to pay for it. What about that part? What about like if it's a one-off client and you have to say, hey, I'm bidding this 5 day a week restaurant clean, that I have to buy floor cleaner, I have to buy 2 mop buckets, I have to buy some. What about that? Like that's really the one that I think our audience right away will benefit from, because again, that is the small business approach to, if you forget to include it, you thought your profit was X, it's really Z because you spent $180 on a startup kit to get going.
Yep. Great question. I think that hits home because, a lot of people, whether it's new that are starting out or looking to expand the business, is the reality of you've got costs to pick up new business. And the bigger the business is, the bigger that investment is. And what I've always, lived by is cash is king. So what a lot of my building service contractors do through their JanSan expert is, when those startups come on, is we bundle those purchases and run that through a third-party leasing company. So
Hmm.
for example, if you come to me and say, okay, Josh, I need a scrubber and a mop bucket and et cetera, and my startup cost can be 10 grand, you may not break profitability until 6 or 9 months because you have to pay for all of that and there's the upfront cost. Where if you look at leasing that, you don't have that outlay of cash right away. You go from spending $10,000 right away to maybe $200 to $500 a month. That's a lot more manageable. And if you get with a good leasing company, you continue as you grow your business and add accounts, you continue to layer that on and have a lease program, and you can spec that in where you can either have that set price, or every 3 or 4 years as your equipment becomes run down and whatever, you can either turn that in, reinvest into new equipment, or buy that out for a low price. So I think for companies that are starting out or looking to grow, look at finding a partner and then finding a resource that you can manage cash flow a little bit more strategically.
Josh, I never actually thought of plugging that, but I'm gonna have to talk to them. But I use Marlin Financial, right? Marlin Financial.
Yep.
I use a factory sweeper here in Chicago. That's a good point. Yeah, like I remember 3 years ago, that's exactly what I did without knowing that I did it. I leased a couple machines. It was like a 2-3 year lease. The contract was a 3-year contract. I got to profitability quicker
Yep.
than I probably would have if I would have paid all cash up front. So
Yep.
very good.
And yeah, and I think what it does, it alleviates some of the stress. It allows you to come out of the gates and to be as focused as possible, because a lot of times when you're nitty gritty, a lot of people limp in or skimp into things and try to do things as cost effective as possible, and it may create problems by trying to do shortcuts. So I think if you build a scope that you can adhere to, and then build that program in with the right products and processes and maximum mechanization, where you mentioned that 17-inch scrubber or whatever it is, get the right tools for the right job, offset some of your cash. I think it just makes it a less stressful onboarding experience for you and your business.
Agreed, 100%. So let's go now. Let's say, how do you leave this industry with or everybody that's in this industry right now? Give us, some ending talking points, or a good piece of advice you would give to anybody that's in the business right now that, COVID aside, just the industry in general, right? What do you think are some important points that they should be worried about in their business as a BSC? So, let's talk about BSCs.
So I would reiterate some of the things that we've been hammering on with find a Jansan supplier, somebody that you can trust that's going to help you manage and grow your business. And then I would say, from an overarching thing, embrace change. I've been in the business 20 years, and one thing that I can count on is change is happening and will continue to happen. And it just happens faster and faster. So I think if you go into your business, and if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. It's kind of the definition of insanity. So the cool thing with our industry is we are rapidly progressing. And the more that you embrace, tools and technology, like for example, in your world, a couple things that I'd like, Ricky, is vacuuming your most labor intensive task at some of your buildings. And I would say for most BSCs, vacuuming in most of their clients is probably, or most of their buildings is probably the biggest labor intensive task.
Oh, yeah.
So if we switch from, buying off of the lowest cost to the right piece of equipment for the long term, we may look at switching from an upright vacuum to not only a battery powered backpack, where I'm going to increase my productivity by 50%.
I just did that. Let's see how that goes. That's true.
Yep. So on that, the what's going to make it sticky is, one, selling that to the user, that you're going to help make their job easier and quicker and faster, because you may take a person who was vacuuming 4 hours a shift, and they're going to be able to do it in 2 hours. And then what it's going to allow you to do to go to your client that's saying, hey, Ricky, my budgets suck. I need to lower your cost. And on top of lowering my cost, I need you to add high touch frequencies and more disinfecting. So if you embrace technology, vacuuming is just one of those. The other thing that's coming that's becoming more and more popular, especially on larger square foot locations of both soft floor and hard floor, is robotics.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of great technology. Our brand partners is Tennant, which Tennant has almost 4,000 autonomous scrubbers out there of, Walmarts and Kroger's. And a lot of people get the negative mystique of we're trying to eliminate, jobs. And
It's
I think
not.
that's,
It
it's
really
crap.
isn't.
It's
No, yeah.
crap. No,
I'm all
we're-
about it.
so robotics is changing to cobotics because we still need somebody there to start the machine, bring the machine in, clean it. But what our goal is to reallocate that labor. So in a time when your client said, hey, Ricky, you didn't wipe down the door frames, maybe once a week or once a month. I need doorknobs, handles, light switches, telephones. I need those done every day, all day. Like, okay, great. You need a full-time sanitation specialist, but they're not willing to pay for it. So I think you can back into programs to meet your customers' needs, reallocate labor by embracing technology.
Yep.
And then I think the final piece of technology that I think building service contractors are going to need to embrace is to be able to document on the front end and back end of what they're doing with scope of work, processes and protocols, but ATP testing. Whether that's, a set program of once a month, you come in or you hire that out because everybody wants.
I just bought one. Yep. Dude, you're saying all the right things. Yeah, keep going.
So for me, I guess in summary, that the takeaways is, embrace a partnership, embrace change, look at different tools and technology to do your current jobs quicker, better, and more effective. And then once you fine tune that, as you're looking to grow, it allows you to grow in directions that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And then you can, rather than trying to, redo a whole program, you can just go and duplicate that and share the success story of, hey, Ricky, I just helped this restaurant or this facility, and here's how we do it. You just simply take it from a sales pitch to a share pitch, and, pictures or videos and things like that, which you do a lot of, where you don't sell, you just share stories of either what, Route can do for you and your business or customers. So I think in summary, that's kind of the talking points or the walkaway points I would suggest people to embrace.
Oh, perfect, man. Talk about a great wrap up to what we just talked about. So many takeaways, so many talking points. I mean, I love that part too, where you said take it from a sell to a share, because I got to say the first couple of years, again, same thing. Like I didn't want to be too pushy. I didn't want to sound like I was selling. But if you have case studies and you have examples that it did work, you're not selling anymore. You're sharing. It's the truth. It speaks better than when people hear you talking so detailed about an example. They know it's true. They know it worked. They know it's not a sales pitch anymore because there's passion behind it.
And I would say that would be the other thing we didn't talk about. As you have those successes, be able to document that, whether that's an old school, what I call brag book with just pictures that you can flip through and show somebody, videos. So the nice thing is, as people are building their business and want to continue to grow, document those success stories. And as they meet with people and you go to, solve problems, or, you're working on new opportunities, you've got that brag book that provides immediate credibility of before and after pictures, references, things like that.
Oh yeah. Awesome, man. All right. Well, we are wrapping up here.
All right.
But I like to end, Josh, with something non-business related. Well, it's business related, right? But let's talk about, funny stories, right? Everybody loves to laugh. I love laughter. I love smiling. I love that. And it empowers just a good feeling, right? So share me. I cannot share any more stories of my cleaning industry, laughter events or anything that's funny, because I have way too many and I've talked about them. But give us a story of, you in this industry, what made you laugh? what was something that you did that made somebody else laugh?
Well, I would say, probably my wife making fun of me in front of my customers or, fellow salespeople, because my wife is definitely a character. And anytime we meet somebody new or something like that, and I always, introduce myself. And so my wife is Liz, and she always says, hey, this is Josh, and he's, number one in the number two business. So it's always something that's, just kind of catchy and fun. And I've always taken that to heart, where, I do want to be the number one, guy in our industry. And I am continuing to take stride to try to be that. So no real great, funny stories, just that, my wife likes to make fun of me a lot. And you got to be able to laugh at yourself and
It's a
have
feel
fun at
good
what you're
story.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
dude, you creating a persona of Dr. Green Clean. I mean, it's not that it's funny. It's just that
Yeah.
brings a smile to your face when you think of, man, this guy's got a pretty good thing going. This is a brand. This is somebody I would
Yep.
trust, because you gave a crap, right? To actually
Yeah.
want to go out there on the limb and present yourself this way.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you jumping on here with us. I hope everybody else appreciates the time we took here.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Glad to see you drank that,
I'm done.
drink there.
Pretty much done
Yeah.
here. But
Yeah.
I always end with, how can somebody find Josh? What's your, is it Instagram, LinkedIn? Give us a couple ways that people can find you.
Via courier pigeon is my preferred method. Just it's new tech that's coming out. You may have not heard.
Coming
of it.
back.
It's coming back. That's right. Yeah, full circle. No, my website's just www.doctor, spelled out, greenclean.com. Shares my story, and my email is just jbrown@westernpaper.com. Feel free to reach out to me.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate it. And until next time, man, I hope I see you soon.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks,
All right,
buddy.
guys.
All right. Bye.